Hello and welcome to the second lesson summary of the AP Comparative Government course. We will be using the Red Book again. In this lesson we will quickly cover what the differences are between states, nations, countries, and governments. Then we will continue talking about states and some of their characteristics. Alright, so let's begin with what a state actually is. A state is composed of various political institutions. These institutions can be a certain set of laws, a police force, a military, and in some cases, its government. Though, just for future knowledge, governments tend to be less institutionalized unless they're authoritarian. As well, a state can be defined as having the ability to control violence in its area. This means that there is a general peace and order, not total anarchy. When there is total anarchy, this is known as a failed state, and these are especially dangerous because they have modern infrastructure, but no modern government. A good example of this would be Somalia. Lastly, a state can be characterized by having the ability to act independent. They are not forced into doing actions by external forces. The UN and the EU are often criticized as infringing on the rights of states. So here's some vocabulary that you should know. This is really important, especially when you start doing case studies. The first is nation. A nation is a group of people who are bound by shared values and ideals. They are often also bound by a very similar ethnicity, such as the Slavic nation. Now we need to remember that a nation, however, doesn't always have its own country. The Basque nation, or the Basque people, are part of Spain, but at the same time there's a huge amount of them in Argentina. A regime is the norms and rules regarding society. These are often embodied in a constitution and thus institutionalized. The only way to truly destroy a regime is to start a successful revolution. At the very base level, regimes can be categorized by democratic or authoritarian. The government is the leadership of the country. They are often less institutionalized and made up of the people running the country. This would include presidents, prime ministers, dictators, and even the military. Especially in Great Britain, the current government is often referred to as the Cameron government, and this, of course, builds off of the fact that the government is the people running the country. Lastly, a country itself is a combination of all these things. Okay, now we're going to talk about government legitimacy, because all governments need to be legitimate in order to be successful. There are three major types of legitimacy that the Red Book mentions. The first is traditional. This legitimacy is built off of historical habit and custom. One of the main arguments for keeping the English royal family in power is simply because of custom. One might even say that U.S. elections have traditional legitimacy because they have gone on in peace for such a long time. This type of legitimacy is often very highly institutionalized. Charismatic legitimacy is built on a strong leader. This is often a revolutionary leader or one who could control the masses with powerful oratory skills. However, this is often weakly institutionalized since humans have this tendency to die. If you are not careful, your government will go down with your leader. Rational legitimacy is built on rules that have been set forth. Please note that these rules often must have legitimacy in themselves, often traditional. Okay, as this lesson ends, let's talk about two major different types of state centralization. A federal state, which is what the United States has, is a state in which certain power is given from the federal government to local regions. This is called devolution. This same federal system goes for India and Russia, but with a twist. While many U.S. states have equal powers from the government, the Indian and Russian governments favor certain regions over others. This is called asymmetric federalism. For instance, Moscow has almost supreme power over any other region in the Russian Federation. The second type of centralization is called a unitary state. In this type of state, there is little distinction between regional bodies and almost all power is concentrated at the national level. Sweden and Japan are prime examples, as their regional bodies have very little power. Alright, so that's mostly it for the chapter. I hope you enjoyed the video, and good luck on the test.